Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty cool: how NASA, an agency basically born in the analog age of rocket fuel and slide rules, is trying to rewire itself to conquer a totally new universe, a universe made of data. And to give you an idea of what we're talking about, just look at this number: 75 petabytes. That is a colossal amount of information. That's how much data NASA is storing in the cloud right now. We're talking everything from those mind-blowing images from the James Webb Telescope to decades of climate data. It's an absolute treasure trove for sure, but it also presents a huge, huge challenge. So that brings us to the big question, right? Can an organization that was built on this idea of separate, independent missions successfully pivot to become one single data-driven powerhouse? Let's get into how they're trying to pull it off. Okay, first up, we've got to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this problem. I mean, IT has always been the backbone of NASA, right? It powered mission control, it handled payroll, but the game has completely changed.
Look, this isn't just about updating some software for convenience. The missions are getting way more complex, and that data fire hose is just turned on full blast 24/7. So, having a solid, unified digital strategy isn't a nice-to-have anymore, it's a mission imperative. It's gone from just supporting missions to literally surviving this data explosion so they can enable the next generation of discovery.
So, how in the world is NASA going to fight this battle? Well, it's not just a bunch of random projects. Nope, they've laid out a formal strategy, a real digital battle plan, and it's built on 5 core pillars that are meant to guide the entire agency. And this plan really covers the whole shebang, from making sure scientists have tools that are actually easy to use to building a skilled and diverse team. But the one we really need to zoom in on, the real heart of this whole thing, is that third pillar: transformation. And this isn't just some vague corporate buzzword. They've put a real number on it. The goal is to save 60,000 person-hours by 2025, all through automation. You know what that means? It means freeing up some of the most brilliant minds on the planet from tedious work so they can focus on what they do best: exploring the universe. All right, so let's head down to the engine room. Any modern strategy needs some seriously powerful tools, and NASA's whole transformation is being built on this powerful trio: data, artificial intelligence, and the cloud. Now, what's so interesting here is that these 3 things aren't just working in parallel. They create this amazing feedback loop. The cloud gives them the massive, scalable space to store all that data. That data then fuels smarter AI models, and those models, in turn, analyze the data to pull out new insights, which creates even more valuable data. It's this virtuous cycle that just keeps accelerating discovery. And here's a perfect example of their open science philosophy in action: the Prithvi model. So NASA trained this incredible AI on 40 years of its own satellite data, and then they just gave it away for free. By making it open source, they're letting researchers all over the world speed up their work on everything from mapping floods to predicting wildfires. They're changing from just being a provider of data to being an enabler of global science. It's a huge shift. So, awesome AI models solve everything, right? Problem solved? Well, not so fast. When you look at the ultimate test case, the Artemis program, the one to get us back to the moon, government oversight reports are still flagging some pretty basic problems. They're finding critical gaps and inconsistent data. It just goes to show, you can have the fanciest tools in the world, but if the underlying data plumbing isn't solid, you're still going to have problems. And that brings us to what might be the single biggest hurdle in NASA's entire digital journey. And you know what? It has nothing to do with technology. It's all about people, history, and culture. For more than 20 years, NASA has been stuck in this massive tug-of-war. On one side, you've got the push for a centralized approach, this one OCIO idea, where a single chief information officer has the authority to make things efficient and secure across the board. But on the other side, you've got NASA's historic, ingrained culture, where every mission and every center has the freedom to do its own thing, to innovate fast for their very specific needs. This one phrase, pulled straight from their own internal reports, just says it all: this long-standing culture of autonomy. I mean, that's what put a man on the moon. It created agility, it created focus. But now, in the digital age, that same culture has become a huge roadblock to creating the unified, secure IT system they desperately need. So what could possibly tip the scales? Well, how about a little public pressure? A federal scorecard called FITARA started publicly grading government agencies on how well they manage their IT.
And let me tell you, that kind of public report card was a major catalyst for change. It forced some big reforms, like finally having the CIO report directly to the head of NASA, giving that office real authority for the first time. Okay, let's talk about security. Think about it. In an age with sophisticated hackers and complex global projects, NASA's massive library of technical secrets is a prime target. The old castle and moat security model just doesn't cut it anymore.
That's why they're moving to something called zero trust architecture. And really, the name says it all. The guiding principle is never trust, always verify. It's kind of like a secure building where it's not just the front door that's locked. Every single door on every floor requires you to swipe your key card every single time.
The logic is actually pretty simple, but it's profound. Step 1. Assume you've already been hacked. Just assume the bad guys are already in the system. When you start from there, everything changes. You then verify every single request, no exceptions, and you make sure every person and every device has the absolute bare minimum level of access they need to do their job, and nothing more. But this creates a fundamental dilemma, doesn't it? Especially for an organization like NASA. How do you build this digital fortress, this least privileged security system, when your entire scientific mission is built on the exact opposite principle: open collaboration and sharing as much data as possible with the entire world?
And that's the crucial point. This whole digital transformation, it's not just some internal IT project to make things run smoother. This is the critical proving ground for NASA's biggest, most ambitious goals: setting up a permanent base on the moon, and one day sending humans to Mars.
And you can actually see this change happening in their own strategic plans. This chart shows how their priorities have evolved. Over time, the focus has become absolutely laser-focused on those core digital pillars, like cybersecurity and efficiency, because they know that's the foundation that all future exploration has to be built on. And getting this strategy right is absolutely non-negotiable, because the challenges they're facing next are straight out of science fiction. We're talking about building interplanetary networks that have to deal with huge time delays, developing AI smart enough to let a rover on Mars make its own decisions, and weaving together a secure digital fabric that connects dozens of partners, both international and commercial.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. NASA's whole journey shows that for any big, long-standing organization trying to adapt to this new digital world, the real transformation is an internal battle. A battle against your own culture, your own complexity, and your own history. And maybe, just maybe, winning that internal fight is the most important discovery of all, the one that truly unlocks our future in the stars.